Hello, 6th graders. Alright, so today I'm going to show you how to make a handle. And to make a handle with your clay mug, the first step is to take your mug that you started and clean it up a little bit. So if you have any places on your mug that are rough, like this one has some on the edges and the bottom, the inside, you need to take your sponge, make sure you squeezed out all the extra water. You shouldn't be able to get any drips when you do that. Remember, if it gets too wet, it gets slimy quick. And clean this thing up. Make it look as smooth and perfect as you can. Anytime you're on the inside of the mug with the sponge, support it with your hand on the outside. Anytime you're on the outside, support it on the inside. Your mug is kind of weak right now. You've got to treat it very, very gently. If your top edge is really, really uneven, you can cut it off with a knife or drop it a couple times on the board. Either way will work for you. Okay? I'm going to spend just about 20 seconds smoothing this up, and then we'll move on to the handle. Alright, so the bottom of your mug where the inside meets the wall, you might need to even just get your finger in there and really smooth that together where those two joints meet, because if you have any crack at all, your mug will be leaky. Not much of a mug at all. Alright, I'm going to do a tiny bit more on the outside and call it good for now. I can always come back and smooth more later. Alright, so there we go. It's starting to look a little bit smoother. I'm going to tap that top edge too, see if I can flatten it out. Very gently. I'm not smashing this thing. Nobody needs that. Okay, so now for our handle. First I'm going to take a piece of clay. You don't want it to be too soft or too dry. This is almost on the dry side. I might need to spray it with water after I get going. And you want to have good clay probably about the size of a baseball. It's okay if it's a little bit less. And you are going to flatten it out with your hands as much as you can. So I'm going to move my mug off the board for a minute and stand up to get some leverage and start flattening. After I flattened it, for the most part, to about as thick as the tip of my pinky, you want it to be about, quarter, half an inch thick, then you are going to grab a rolling pin and roll it out a little bit more. There we go. So when I'm rolling, I'm not pushing too hard in any one place, even pressure all the way along, trying to make it the same thickness everywhere. Flip it over when you almost have it and do the other side too. Hit any high spots, go really gently on the low spots so they don't get even skinnier. Check it out. If it's looking pretty good, you can smooth it even more with your sponge. Make it as perfect as you can before you attach it. Alright, so when I did this, I never got too thin with my handle. I see a lot of people making paper thin handles. That just doesn't work. It won't hold your mug up. You have to have some thickness to support it. The width of your handle is kind of up to you. I think about an inch, so about that big is the perfect size. I'm going to go ahead and cut out a rectangle shape. So I'm using my clay knife here, and I start with one straight line. And if you want to draw this very lightly, you can before you cut. If you're not very confident in your straight line cutting abilities, that is okay. Alright, so I cut out a rectangle here. Just about that thick. Perfect size. And I'm going to shape it like a candy cane. This is going to be the strongest way to attach it. If it starts to have some cracks right here, when you bend it, that means it's a little bit dry and we'll have to wet it up in a minute. So I'm going to take this candy cane and I'm going to scratch and attach it, or slip and score it to my mug. So I'm going to scratch here and here so when we attach it. If I put it on like this, which is what a lot of kids want to do, that's not very strong. The points of contact are very, very small and it'll break off. So I'm going to scratch and attach it on these flat parts where I'll have way more contact with the mug. Less chance of it breaking. Scratch that all up. Score this one up. And the same spots right where they meet on here. If you do too many lines, you can always smooth them out. It's alright. Alright, so now to attach it, I'm going to do a fingerful of water. Just a fingerful, not a whole cup. On both the spots where it attaches, and then I just stick this right on. If you put it on there and it looks like it's a little bit too long, we could cut it shorter and then reattach it. So after I attach this, it's looking pretty good. I like the size of it. I like the shape of it. I put it on there just like a candy cane. I have two really strong points of contact. I'm going to smooth it so much that I can't see where those seams are anymore. So anywhere there's a seam, I'm going to smooth it so you can't even see it. This just ensures that you have a really, really strong handle that's not going to break when you pick it up. Kind of important for a mug. If you want to try out a different shape, like if you wanted to curve this around like a C, that could be a really cool handle shape too. I've had some kids do S's and have little curly cues at the end. That can look kind of cool. Just play with different shapes. You do need two strong points of contact though. No wimpy little just barely touching on the ends. That doesn't work out. You can make your handle wider or narrower. That could work too. It's kind of up to you what it looks like. I've had handles that are rolled coils too. Those are really strong. You just have to make them thick enough, about the size of your pinky, to actually hold up the mug. Those can be good if it's going to be like the tail of a fox and then his little face is over on this side. Alright, so I've got that smoothed on. My last step is to take my sponge and get it really, really, really smooth. So I'm going to get a little bit more water, but every time I get water on my sponge, I squeeze it out so there's almost none left. We don't want sliminess. It grosses me out and it's just hard to work with. No slimy clay. Alright, give this a final smoothing and it's good to go. If your clay was kind of soft when you were making your handle and this starts to get droopy like it's falling down, you can always stick a wad of paper towels in here to support it while it's drying, and that'll just solve all your problems in that area. Here we go, a tiny bit more smoothing. Alright, I have a nice handle. I'm ready to move on to decorations. That is all.